Here we are. We already all accepted it.
All right, we're on. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Connected Kinesiologists meetup for Monday, August the 9th. And we are here with Gavin McHale of Maverick Coaching. Hey, Gavin.
Hello.
Thank you for joining us. This makes me happy to see you back again after I was trying to figure out when it was we were last connected. Was it like last summer?
Yeah, I think it was, well, yeah, it might've been like, last May or June. Yeah. The last time I did one of these awesome events. Yes.
Yes, exactly. Well, we thought, as Gavin and I were chatting before we hit record here, we thought we would speak to the big communication piece that we find personal trainers and health coaches and kinesiologists really struggle with. We know we can help clients. We know that when we get a referral, we know exactly what to do. We know we can help the clients get better. But the sticky point for so many people is, how do we actually find clients? How do we speak to them in a way that helps us engage them to convert them to a sale, convert them over to working with us for X number of weeks on a solid treatment plan? Mm-hmm. So Gavin, you were mentioning that that's one of the things that your team constantly sees as something that comes up over and over.
Yeah, it's so the people that we're not working with, we know they're not doing this. And the people that we are working with, this is hard. Like this is, and that's obviously why not many people are doing it. The people that we are working with struggle with it. There's so many fears that come up. There's so much, I hate to tell you guys, there's a lot of rejection that comes up. There's a lot of people saying, ghosting you or saying not so nice things, or just saying they're not interested. And all those things are, just so you know, par for the course, part of what we're dealing with in running our own business and in selling, our services. And I think one of the big things that I wanted to really impart with you guys today, and those of you that are here early get the fun stuff, is that, we're kind of conversations and communication. A lot of this relates back to sales, and a lot of you have some, I'm sure, beliefs around sales. I know I did, but one of the biggest things is if you guys know you have a good service. So what I posted in the Facebook group earlier was like, I'm not worried about your service, the service you provide. Most of the people that I talk to or work with are already good there. They're like, when someone walks through the door, as Angela said, I can help them. And if you believe that that's the case, then it's actually your job to market and sell.
You're giving you permission to say, help me.
Yes, exactly. And those of you who have blocks around that, first of all, blocks around sales and all that stuff, very, very normal and common. But my coach always says to me, put the effort where the effort belongs. If you have blocks, if you have struggles around sales, around, creating conversations and marketing, that is where that's where the effort belongs. Because if you truly think that you can make a difference and you truly think you can help people, then it's absolutely your job to do everything you can to help them. Otherwise, I'll tell you this, guys, they're going to find another solution, right? Or another thing that you're constantly battling against is the other option of inaction, right? So they're either going to take no action and get no better or get no help, or they're going to find another solution that's probably going to be worse than working with you. So if you think you have a good service or product, it's your job to sell it. That's how we'll start.
I love it. Gavin, your background is kinesiology. How did you find yourself moving into this space of helping kins, personal trainers, strength and conditioning coaches to just get out there and get in front of potential clients and do this conversion to service, can do this conversion to a sale? How
long do you have?
An hour or more, my friend.
Okay. So I was, for those who don't know, Bachelor Kinesiology from University of Manitoba, go Bisons. And I was a CSEP CEP. So obviously in Manitoba, we don't have the RKIN designation. But I was as close as you can be, the certified exercise physiologist. And things were good. Like I was working with clients, the traditional
You're
model.
hustling.
I was hustling. Yeah.
Yeah.
And things were going well, by societal standards. If you own your own business and you're busy, you're happy, right?
Your head's above water.
Yeah, you're treading water. Okay. But what I realized was, I was like, okay, this is great. But if I want to work with more people and have a greater impact and, really A, have the impact I want, and B, make the money that I want, have these abnormal results in terms of income, like this isn't going to work. I'm not going to be able to have a marriage or family or any fun really at all, other than just working all the time. So this was around the time that online training and all that stuff was starting. This was like 2014, 2015. And I thought, this is great. I'm going to do this. So I started a website and an Instagram page and was like, all right, everyone, bring me your credit cards. Let's do this.
I'm here.
I'm
That's
right here. And as all of you probably know on the call and are waiting for me to get to, it was crickets. There was
no.
And so what I realized was through like a year of struggle in this was, it doesn't matter how good I am. Being good enough, especially as we move on in years, this was 5-6 years ago, being good enough, being really good doesn't cut it anymore. This is not a meritocracy. And what I realized was that the reason why we get so mad at those people who aren't as good as us, but are, making more or impacting more people, is because they can market themselves. So went about and hired several coaches, got to the place where I was actually I was earning the money that I wanted to be. I was living the lifestyle I wanted to be. And other coaches like you guys, who I respected a lot, like they were really good coaches, who I knew were great coaches, were like, dude, how are you doing this? Like, what, you have a new car, you're traveling, and you're like not bags under your eyes, living on coffee. What's going on?
You don't wake up at 4:30 in the morning. What's going on here?
And work till 8:30 with no breaks in between. So I realized, okay, like there's a gap here, there's an issue here. And I thought, well, with my experience of like working with different coaches, and then also my experience of building what I call a hybrid business, where I work in person and online, because at the time I loved working in person. I didn't want to just move online. I was like, there's something here. And that's kind of how we got to Maverick Coaching Academy. And then, once we started getting people enrolled and I realized this really worked, that's when it kind of took off. And then COVID hit, all my gym income was gone. All the personal training clients that I was working with didn't want to continue. They thought it was going to be a few weeks. And of course, at that time,
yada.
Needed help. Yeah. Yada, yada, yada. Here we are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. So you knew you were onto something. You're like a lot of us, you have a bit of a side hustle while you figure out the other thing. And then the other thing started to take off, and the other thing became a thing. And all of a sudden the clients vanished, and you're like, okay, the model is being put to the test right here, right in front of me. How am I going to feed my cat and, try and make sure that I can do that every single month? And I think that's a huge fear of a lot of healthcare pros when they go alone. How do I actually find steady business? I know my craft. I absolutely know my craft. I'm genuine. I show up. I'm prepared. I know I can get results for my clients, but am I always looking to other healthcare professionals to find really high quality referrals? Do I need to be part of a clinic? Do I need to be part of any sort of social group, professional group that sends me referrals? Or if I really know my ideal client, can I go and find them on my own? Maybe you can talk to the options there.
Yes, you can.
Yes.
Yeah. So I love how you kind of like, clearly we know who we're talking to here, right? Like this is exactly what I hear so much. And you talk about like we're kind of living in a golden age of marketing because you can market to literally anyone on earth who has a social media account for free. Like nobody else ever ran a business in this time where you could do this. In the past, there was so many, there wasn't many free marketing channels, right? Other than word of mouth. And the flip side of that, though, is that everyone can do it, right?
That's
Everybody.
right. It gets pretty noisy.
It gets a little noisy. Yeah. So, you talk about referrals. That's the first thing we always say is like, let's get really clear on your referral plan, because that is the low hanging fruit. But the truth of the matter is there's another cat. Angela and I, this is why we connect. The
I
truth of the
know
matter.
there's always cats.
Yeah. The truth is that referrals are unpredictable. We cannot know that a referral is, that we're going to get referrals every week. And we can't keep hounding other professionals or our clients like, please send me referrals, right? We need to find a way, as when I was talking to Angela before, to make our content or our social media, which is that free channel of marketing, work for us. So many of us feel like we're just grinding it out. And that's if we are creating content. If we're not creating content, or if you aren't, it's probably because you're like, I don't want to have to grind it out. That sucks, right? That's going to be hard. But if you are creating content and nothing's coming of it, that's you having to put in a ton of work. What if your content and the things you did on a regular basis around social media could work for you? And that's what we're like, kind of, that's what I want to talk about, is that it can. And to speak more to my story, when I did lose that buffer of, I had a few grand coming in from my training every month, and I was just building this thing up, and that just got cut. I was gone. It was full panic mode. And there was a week of like running around like an idiot. And then when I got things kind of sorted, luckily I had a really good support system and a good coach and mentor and a lot of things. It came down to what are you willing to do to get this thing rolling? Like, what are you willing to do? And this is where, I know there's 4 people on the call right now. I know there's gonna be more people watching. I would put a hard bet that less than 10% of anybody watching this is starting conversations on social media. And that's probably because they've been pitched to in the DMs, right? And they've seen the ugly side of creating conversations and having conversations. And they've seen the side that none of us want to be. I know as coaches, none of us want to be that, online sleazy marketer. But I'm here to tell you that there's another way and a better way to do that. And that's what I kind of doubled down on and realized, like, wow, okay, like I can create my own leads. And then the better it gets, the better it gets, right? It starts building on itself. The more people, once you hit that critical mass, then people are sending referrals and you're having conversations and this and that. That's where things start to come together, really.
It gets so interesting because we were saying that the conversation begets the conversation. So you start having these conversations and you realize, oh, this is how people want to engage with me. This is cool. I can do that. So now if they're engaging this way with me, maybe that means to the great world out there, this is how I need to turn around and start engaging with my audience, because they're asking me for things, they're responding to certain things. And if I just turn things around and start giving them what they're asking me for ahead of time, then these conversations will just become a little easier, a little smoother, and I'll start to settle in and kind of find my people. And then it just becomes easy. You'll start to really find the people that are looking for you, and you think, this isn't so hard. but we tend to find we're fighting ourselves. No, we want it to look this way, and we want the conversations to go that way, and I think I should find people doing this. But to stand back and actually really look, you might surprise yourself at actually how people are finding you. What I think I'd like to do, Gavin, just for a minute, because there's just 4 people on the call, is take a minute and just have them introduce themselves to you, because I know them and I know some of the things that they're struggling with, and that also will help them to interact with you. And I think that the conversation may change slightly as we hear a little bit about their stories as well. So speak if you'd like. If you're not available, that's not a problem. But I'm just looking at Emma saying, hi, Emma, do you want to say hello to Gavin?
Sure, absolutely. So my name is Emma. I graduated kinesiology in 2018. I'm going to be writing my exam next month. So
Yes.
that's exciting, finally.
Yeah.
Currently, right now, I'm working as a recreation assistant at a senior center in Toronto. We're doing a camp, like an all-day camp for seniors in the GTA.
Nice.
That's so neat. That's so neat.
Super awesome. Yeah, congrats on
Toronto
finally being able to write that exam. Oh, I know
Yeah.
that's been a long time coming for some of you guys. So.
Yeah, I was supposed to write it last summer, then I postponed it to April, and then couldn't write it in April. So
yeah,
here we go again.
Keeps on rolling. Well,
Yeah.
yeah. Hey, more time to get ready for it.
Exactly.
To get ready for it.
Exactly. You'll be ready with your guns loaded by the time you get that RKIN stamp. You'll be well on your way, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Thanks.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, thanks, Michelle. Thanks, Michelle. Christiane has her hand up, so I'm going to switch over there, and then we'll hop and see if Jillian or Michelle can speak, depending upon what you're both up to. So Christiane, go right ahead.
Hey, so I'm a kinesiologist working in Northern Ontario, really rural town. We've got a population of 2,000 people.
Yes.
Yes.
Do you know them all yet?
Yeah, I know. I keep running into everybody everywhere. Yeah, so I did my master's at U of T. I did the MPK, which was really cool. And now, having worked in Toronto, I did a lot of senior care. Now I'm here and I get to do a little bit of everything. So cardiac rehab, cancer, pretty much everything, trying to help people as much as I can. And then I'm here for a year, for a 1-year contract, and then we'll see where the wind blows after.
Yeah, good for you. Good for you. I was pushing many people to say, step outside your comfort zone and just explore, go a little left, go a little right. That's where you're going to figure out what you're really good at, and you'll have to face what you're not good at or don't like doing. And as we'll learn from Gavin, that's the very same thing with when you're getting started with the coaching side of your business.
Yeah,
so
that's awesome.
Yeah. Jillian, are you around, available to speak? Oh, Michelle is. I'm going to hop to Michelle. Oh, you are too, Jillian. Okay, all right. So why don't I hop to Jillian first? I know everyone's going to get their turn here. So Jillian, hello. Oh, we can't hear you.
Why can't we hear you, Jillian?
I'm not sure why we can't hear you. And I'm going to, you have to change your speaker. I am going to run to get my charger.
Yeah,
I'll be right back. Continue on.
Jillian's
Okay,
going
awesome.
to fix her headphones. Why don't we
All
go?
right, so maybe Michelle.
Yeah, Jillian, check those headphones out. Michelle, if you're ready to roll, let's hear from you.
For sure. I trickled in a little bit later, but I want to say, Gavin, that I love the name of your business. I'm a huge fan of Top Gun. I'm not too sure if that has any relation to it.
Love it.
Yeah. So a bit about myself. I've been an RKIN for about 1.5 years now, but I practice as a CEP, working in various settings. So commercial gyms, community health centers, physiotherapy clinics, an executive club in Toronto. I worked corporate for about 2 years as an online health coach. And I broke free from the corporate world 4 months ago, and I'm embarking on building my own business. So I hired,
Sweet.
as you mentioned, you've invested money in business coaches before. So I'm learning so much about marketing, super grateful because it's something we're not taught enough in undergrad. So with that being said, right now I'm trying to find my voice online. I've really clarified the niche I want to work with, and I do have some questions around marketing, but maybe we'll save that to the end. I'm just really grateful you're on the call, and I'm excited to see what else I can learn from you. So thank you.
Well, yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, not specifically a Top Gun reference, but it definitely helped that it's a Top Gun reference, and it's just such a cool word. I don't know.
Right?
We should have a cool story, but it's just a cool word. Maybe I should make up a story around Top Gun, but yeah, thank you so much. It sounds like you've been busy, and I love seeing when people do take that leap of faith and like they hire someone or you know, whatever, they take the leap of faith, you know, and the chance on themselves. I love seeing that. But I'm pumped that you have some questions. I am very happy to be here.
Awesome. Thanks, Gavin.
And has Jillian got the headphones figured yet?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
You're
I just took my
here.
headphones out.
Okay.
I'm Jillian. I did my undergrad at the University of Guelph, and then I did a postgrad at Humber College, which I absolutely loved. I've worked a couple of different jobs since graduating and getting registered, and I am now providing falls prevention programming, exercises, and education to older adults. So I am really enjoying it so far. And I'm good friends with Katie. I went to school with her, and she's spoken very highly of you. So I thought I'd pop on the call tonight.
Yay, Katie.
Katie's the best. That's awesome. I was wondering. I actually, funny story. I'm pretty sure I'd have to ask Katie. I'm pretty sure Katie and I originally connected through the last one of these that I did last summer.
Oh, excellent.
And like, I think it was a bit of a longer trail after that. And then we ended up like following one another. And then I had a conversation with her, and then she signed up. And we've been working together ever since, which is awesome.
Nice, nice. I have to tell you, the business coach that I've been working with, we met in 2014. And we've just started working together in the last year or so. So sometimes it takes a while to realize what you need, and sometimes it takes a little while to find the right person. And as Gavin will tell you, you move from coach to coach to coach. And you have coaches for different reasons. So you have coaches for marketing, and coaches for refining your clinical practice, and coaching to help you become a better writer. So Gavin has just got the marketing corner figured out. So that's what's pretty exciting about.
So anyway, yeah. I'd like to think so.
Absolutely.
So how do you want to do this, Angela? What do you think? Do you want to, like, I always love to give the benefit to the people who are here. I definitely love that.
Absolutely.
So, because I had a plan, but as we know in the world today, plans can just go right out the window if we need them to. So I would honestly, if you're cool with it, Angela, I'd love if these guys just wanted to ask questions, and it'll probably come back to what I was thinking of talking about. And if it doesn't, we can do this again.
Exactly. Yeah, I think that's the best thing. I loved kind of the organic chat. As you know, I'm not a big scripter person, so ask away. You had some questions, Michelle, Jillian, that you wanted to toss out there. Go right ahead.
Yeah, don't hesitate. Just unmute yourself and we'll do it. Oh, Emma looks ready.
You've got exactly. Let's go.
So my niche would be older adults, I think, as well as Jillian too. A lot of older adults aren't on like social media. So like, what's the point of making content for older adults when like they're probably not going to see it or care to see it,
or even know what to do
or
if
even
they
know what to do with it? Yeah.
Great question. So who is actually your audience?
Yes. So one of the things that so what's funny, Jillian knows Katie. Katie works with older adults, particularly folks with neurological issues. And one of the key things that we've talked about with her and that I want to make clear is content is any way that you market your business publicly. So that doesn't, necessarily, I use Instagram because the majority of my clients are 30 to 40 years old. So that's where they are, right? So that's kind of like my connection point. But, there are many ways that you can do this with any type of an audience. So one of the things that in terms of online marketing is, where are they hanging out? You know your audience, or if you do know your audience as well as we hope you do, or if you decide to do the work and ask some questions about it, is where are they hanging out? And can you meet them there? Maybe they prefer email. Maybe they prefer that now that COVID's starting to be closer to the end than the start, maybe you can actually go into some buildings or some places and provide free resources for them, or provide free classes for them in some way. But the key thing is, how are you going to connect with them? Like, there's got to be a way that you are going to connect with them. And I guess what Angela and I were talking about earlier is like, and this isn't just you, this isn't just any of us, this is all of us as an industry, is we kind of just hope they're going to show up and knock on the door one day, right? And
they'll find us, don't worry.
It's just not the case, right? Especially now, especially with older adults who are a little more leery of going outside and of going into new buildings and all these types of things. So how can you, I hate how much like dating this is, but how can you go and find where they're hanging out and put yourself there and get into the conversation with them there? I know for Katie, for example, she realized that the people she wanted to work with were, say, like 55 to 70. And a lot of those folks are hanging out. They're on Instagram. They don't really know how to use it, but they're hanging out on Facebook. And they're, she organized, she's in a small town as well. She organized like a participation type of a walking challenge, to get people out and get her business name in front of those people. So, I think, and the final point that I'll make is, don't forget that every single person on Instagram has parents and aunts and uncles.
Yeah.
So if you can market, the messaging will be a little different, but they may see it, and a lot of them are the folks that are kind of like maybe starting to push their parents towards those types of things. Maybe if they have issues, maybe if they have movement issues or anything like that. Like, that's what Katie's realized is a lot of the kids of people with Parkinson's and other neurological issues are the ones that are kind of like trying to push this forward. So just a couple of ways to think about it differently, really. It's any way that you are marketing your business publicly. And the effort for you, I would say, belongs in finding out where they are hanging out, and then finding a way, getting creative on a way that you can insert yourself into the conversation. Make sense, Emma?
That makes sense. Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Really good question. Because I've heard that a few times before. And yeah, I mean, that's the beauty of being a business owner. We got to solve a bunch of problems, including our own.
One of the things I used to try was presenting in health food stores and other businesses that had seniors days. And so you knew that your captive audience was coming in on a certain day or within certain hours. So you would be talking about something because you knew that they were going to be there anyway. So come and join us. And you think about a time which suits most older adults. It's going to be kind of late morning or just before the dinner hour, not in the afternoon where their energy tends to flag a little bit, not first thing in the morning. But that 11 a.m. sort of sweet spot seems to work. And then what we often used to do is serve a little bit of a snack afterward. And so this would be showing up every week or once a month, and it would have a theme. And sometimes the store would work with you. So they would highlight certain products and that kind of thing. So a lot of businesses, speaking from someone who used to work in a nutrition store with an owner who really didn't see things that way. And I said, you have so much ability to have themes around what you're doing. So if you even yourself picked a month and said, the theme of my month this month is this, and I'm going to be talking all about it and presenting it at, you know, various locations of community centers, senior centers, health food stores, that's a really easy way to get a warm audience flowing through the door.
Maybe it's just Manitoba, but seniors love free stuff. Just so you
they
know.
love free stuff and they love food. Free food.
Yeah. Is it free
That
food?
always worked.
Free food, you got them. You got them.
Doesn't matter what you're talking about. We're there. Yeah.
And I think more to the, like, especially with where it sounds like you're at in the conversation, right? We're trying to get people from not having a clue who you are to at least knowing who you are and maybe being a little bit warm, right? You don't have to, and this is one of the things so many people get wrong with content. You do not have to sell with your content. Your content is giving them, shifting their perspective and letting them get to know you, right? So Emma, if you can bring your charisma and bring the fire to whatever it is you're doing, all you need is for them to go, that's interesting. That's an interesting premise. She's got a bit of a different take on things than I thought I really needed to do for exercise, or she seems really nice. I think I'd she'd be someone I'd go for a coffee with. So I'd probably work with her. That's kind of where you want to go with that. And then you just kind of keep showing up. You keep showing up. You keep showing up. And that's when they start to get curious. They go, okay, what's going on here? How can I?
Right. She's been around for a while.
She's been around. Yeah. Yeah. Cool, Emma.
Yeah. Sounds good. Thank you.
Is it Christiani? Christiani asked something.
Wow. Nobody ever gets it right.
Well, Angela said it. Angela said it earlier, and I'm just going off that. Christiani, biggest mistakes when starting a kin business. Anything more to that, or do you just want me to riff?
Well, I'm just thinking back to like when I was trying to do some stuff, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, if I could go back, there were so many things that like I wish I would have done differently. So I was just kind of curious on like your take.
Yeah, there's a lot of things I would have done differently. I think a couple things. The first thing, and this is going to sound biased, get support. Like get someone to support you. Yeah. Obviously, this group is amazing for that. But I would even say like some form of paid support, whatever it is that you can afford, if you're a new kin, and even maybe what you can't afford, if there's like, a little bit of a loan you can do, or you can take on a bit of debt, because it will pay itself back. Even if it doesn't, even if it's the worst coaching program ever, you will learn something from it. That's my financial advisor taught me that one. My first business coach that I talked to, he's like, yeah, so it's $12,000 US for the year. It's $1,000 a month. And I was like, what? And, I didn't really know any different, but my financial advisor said, look, okay, if in 12 months, you're down 12 grand USD and you've learned nothing, I mean, you're smart enough to at least take something from that. Like at least learn something from the horrible coaching that you just got, So taking the leap of faith would be really kind of like the first thing. The second thing that I find just so many people with new businesses is they don't step into the authority role. They're like, I'm just new, please help me out. It's like, that's not what anyone wants to hire. No one wants to hire the brand new person that doesn't seem to know what they're doing. Even when, and this was a big shift that one of my coaches taught me, was you actually have to believe it before you see it. You have to believe
Yep.
that you are authority. You have to believe that you are the person that can help this person in front of you with whatever issue they have. I mean, obviously, as long as you're qualified to do that. But like, so what I mean by that is like becoming more authoritative, creating like, if you've been to school, if you're certified, create content that teaches people things, create value for them, actually show them the value, and then go out and tell them what you're doing. I see so many, even not new kins or new business owners, they're so afraid to tell people what they're doing and to ask them to like, hey, are you interested in the next step? And this is what I do. This is my offer. So that would be probably two of the biggest things that I find as kind of stumbling blocks, but it's not even just for new business owners. It's
No.
a lot of people, right, Angela?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I can't tell you the number of clients that have said, where have you been? Why didn't you call? And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I had to sleep a little bit. But people will sit back until you poke them a little bit. So you teach, and then they don't mind the sale. They're like, okay, I expected that you would say, are you interested? Would you like to work with me? There's nothing wrong with that. That is something that you become better at in time. And like water off a duck's back, if people say, no, it's not the right time, or I don't have the funds at the moment, then you can become creative. And in a kin related business, it might be, well, how about we work together to set up something for you, and I check in with you every other week. And then gradually they realize that, hey, I really could use you every week, because look at the quality I'm getting once a month or every other week. I can't tell you how many clients that have done that with me over the years, is all of a sudden their once a week becomes twice, and then sometimes even 3 times a week. And can you also reach out to me over the weekend and just check in, because that'll give me the push I need to do my exercises for you on Monday. So things that I've learned are never assume you know what people's ability to spend is, and never assume you know how often they want to work with you. Those aren't your decisions. Those are their decisions, and you're just there to step up.
And those are completely outside your control too. I love
Absolutely.
That you said that, because like, yeah, that's a big thing that we get caught up on. And I was thinking about that you said, like, really, it's as simple as like, so many people just don't ask. They just don't ask for the sale or for the next step. And I'm often reminded of great cinema adventure Hitch, when he says, you have to go 90 so they can come the last 10, but you have to go 90. That's the key, right?
Make it easy for them to just say, you know what, this sounds amazing. And you're like, perfect. How's next Tuesday at 2:30? I've got a spot there for you. And that's all they need is like, okay, you mean you've even got a spot, like you're prepared to create space for me, and they're motivated. So you just pave the way and go that 90%. All they have to say is, yes, sounds great. And it's easier than you think. It becomes fun. It really does. Because you're like, that was easy.
And you're like, awesome, I get to help this person.
Yeah.
Which is the best part.
That's right. Exactly.
Is there any follow-up questions to that, Christiane, or any thoughts? Or anybody else, really?
No, that was great. Yeah. It was such a struggle, because I was like fresh out of school and I didn't really know what I wanted to do. So I was just kind of throwing a bunch of things at the wall and see what stuck. And I'm probably going to stick my nose back into, especially now with all this COVID stuff, about like doing online. So being in the north might not be so bad. I'm hoping to kind of start that up again, hopefully soon.
Yeah,
I think sorry, Gavin.
Just to speak to that too, I don't know if you still have that presentation, Angela, but I'd love to talk to you, Christiane, because the two the two things don't necessarily need to be separate. Just so you know, the in-person, like the work you're doing in the Northern community, and online, it doesn't need to be two separate things. It can be like a hybrid program where your clients who you're working with in person can get more value because of the beauty of technology without having to see you more. And people who maybe are outside of the, the 20 to 30 minute radius to drive in to see you can also get value. So something to consider, and it's something not a lot of people think about. So sorry, Angela, but I'm very passionate about that.
No, I completely agree with you. I have clients that meet with other clients of mine. We do virtual workouts a couple times a week, and they love it because they want to know who else I'm working with. They're like, oh yeah, that would be awesome. So we have these different groups, and Jillian, we have a falls prevention group. Like, we have a group that this class is all about balance exercises, and they're like, oh, I missed Balance Wednesday. You're like, oh, next week. So themed workouts, and really picky. Like, today is going to be an ankle workout. They're like, what? We're going to spend 30 minutes on ankles? Yes, we are. And so you've got your one-on-one time with them, but then they come together for something very focused, and it could be breathing, it could be nutrition, it could be an ankle day. And so sometimes you might think of, well, it's a way of giving support to other clients to bring them together. And then it can be 20, 30 minutes online of something dedicated that gives everyone a taste of what it's like to work in your world. And it doesn't have to be a paid arrangement either. It could be, you know what, I'm doing this fun group. I think you might like to enjoy it. What would you think about joining us for 20 minutes or 30 minutes on a Wednesday, and invite friends of yours that you think might be interested as well. And then all of a sudden it starts to grow, and the friends become clients, and happens all the time. It's easy.
And there you have it. It's easy.
It's easy.
It's that easy. Love it. That's just being resourceful, really. It's awesome. That's something I would say to anybody. I've been talking about, be resourceful AF. Just find any resources you can and use them.
Mm-hmm.
Really good. Anyone else, or Emma or Christiane, any other questions?
I do have a question, Gavin.
Shoot.
So my question's around marketing online. You mentioned your main platform is Instagram. Mine is as well. I'm also using Facebook. Now, with that being said, what marketing strategies have you used to attract your ideal client?
So good. So good. I could talk about this for a long time.
Fun.
So, you're like, go for it. So, okay. This is kind of, Angela, this is kind of what I want to talk about. This is really good.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, I want you, I would first of all challenge you. This is very common, to just note your language around this, right? Like, marketing to your ideal client. That is what we're doing. But can we shift that to like, I'm serving, I'm starting conversations, like all these things that are just a little easier than marketing and lead generation. Those things are fun to say in the business world. And, I find business coaches love to just like talk about lead gen and all these things, but really this is another way of serving our clients and potential clients with our content. And lead gen is just having conversations. We can all serve and we can all have conversations. That's a lot lighter, in my opinion, right, Angela?
Agreed. Yep.
It's just lighter. So one of the big things, like I said to Emma, the first thing, it sounds like you figured out where your audience is hanging out. They're hanging out on Instagram, maybe they're hanging out on Facebook. The biggest thing that I would say is make sure, like, your job is to create content that forces those people who are following you to engage, right? Like, you want to create content that's so powerful for them that they just have to engage with you, whether that be liking it, sharing it, commenting on it, sending you a DM, because that's like a piece of gold falling from the sky when someone sends you a DM, you know, but we want to create engagement. So, you know, you said you're working with someone, right? Yeah. So I would make sure that you guys are really putting a lot of time and energy into what is your ideal client's current situation. Now, a lot of people will talk about avatar, but what I found with kin and with like therapists, like we work with a lot of athletic therapists, physical therapists, is they work with a number of different avatars or demographics, but there's common threads of their situation, right? Maybe they work with like the 18-year-old athlete, but also a 50-year-old dad who plays beer league. Well, the common thread is they both want to perform better, right? So finding that ideal client's situation and speaking to that. Now, the point that I was going to make, or what I wanted to present on was, and what I said in the Facebook group is, your success is directly related to the quality of the service you deliver, which I'm not worried about that with any of you, and then how well you communicate your value to potential customers. How do we communicate our value? Through content, which we kind of touched on a little bit there, and conversations. What do I mean by that? Look, nobody is, well, a lot of people are starting conversations in the DMs, but not many people are doing it right. They're like, hey, buy my shit. And, you know, that's like me going to the bar, buying someone a drink and saying like, here's a drink, let's get married. Like, whoa, pump the brakes, right? So one of the things that I would say to you is, when it comes to like creating conversations or getting people interested in your business, and this is going to come full circle, I promise you, is we want to create that content that's going to create engagement. Once we get engagement, that's an opportunity for us to start a conversation with somebody. And that's just a one-on-one conversation like we're having right now. So if they don't start a conversation with you, it's on you to start one with them. When we're starting a conversation, we want to show up the right way. So researching their profile, what do they care about, actually connecting naturally with them, and sending a message that's going to evoke a response. What's important to them? Do you have mutual connections? Do you guys both have pets? Do you like the same bands? Do you like the same shows? Can you figure out what's important to them and then ask an open-ended question about that? Nothing to do with fitness, nothing to do with business, nothing to do with, like, let's just start the conversation. Like, you know, the typical dating scenario. Let's start a conversation. Let's have a good conversation, right? And then it just comes down to, when it comes to starting conversations, how many people do you want to work with? And how much time and energy are you willing to put in, right? So the example that I would say is, so all four of you, can you start one conversation per day with a potential client for the next week? Most of you are like, okay, one sec, let me just vomit in this bucket here. And then can you just spark up a conversation, you know?
Yeah.
Start a conversation with somebody and say like, hey, like, how's it going? I see you got a dog. I got a dog too. What kind of dog is that? What's your dog's name? How old are they? You know, and then the cool part about this is like, worst case scenario, you made a new friend. You connected with somebody. Mm-hmm. Right? Mm-hmm. Are we along the lines here, Michelle, or am I going way off base?
No,
okay?
I'm good. I completely understand where you're coming from. And that's initially what our business coach has taught us. Online is your resume. People go to your profile, see what you do, what value you can provide. You know, you have a little bit of your personality. So it's like, can I actually connect with this person? That's what they're thinking.
Yes.
So I've been working on Instagram doing that. The goal in the program that I'm in is to, it's a webinar funnel kind of thing. So you provide an educational webinar, leads them to a page where they book a call with you, leads to a sales discovery call, whatever you want to call it. And then
awesome.
A close, right? And I really like the model because it is automated, it's sustainable, and I don't have to be glued to social media. So I'm really attracted to that. I'm not using Instagram as like oh, DM me if you want my program or whatever. It's not like that. My goal with social is just to educate, inspire, motivate. And then with that, once I built my brand and people are following me, then yes, maybe, suggest to join my Facebook group, do the whole webinar thing and whatnot.
I love that.
Yeah. So that's kind of what I'm
It's a
working
great
with.
model.
Yeah. So one thing I'm actually at a bit of a roadblock with is part of the program is to gather testimonials. And as an arcane, we can't use testimonials.
This is
yeah.
so
Back to that, eh?
So
yeah. So maybe I can pick both of like everyone's brains of like, people need to know, people feel more comfortable knowing that you've worked with clients and they've gotten the results that they need at the end of the day. But it's ethically, it goes against our college. So again, that's a marketing strategy. And I'm just curious to know, how do you practice with integrity and ethicality, knowing that?
Ethicality, that's a great word.
Good word.
Yeah.
I have some thoughts because we've had a few kins come through the course and it's been like, another one of these. One thing I do want to say to you, just because like you're obviously not using the conversations to like sell, but one point that I want to make to all of you guys around conversations before I move on to this, and this is a great question that you have around the testimonials, but conversations are not just going to be used to sell. Okay. If you can have a conversation in the right way, and the best part for you, Michelle, is that you're not actually trying to sell them something. Maybe you're hoping them to join the Facebook group or get on the webinar or whatever, but you're not actually saying, hey, buy my shit. Is you can ask them questions that you want to know to create content. So you can say like, could you tell me a little bit more about your fitness journey or with what you're struggling with? What essentially we need to figure out is, where are they at now? Where do they want to be? And what are the obstacles that they think they're facing, right? If you can get those answers from somebody, not only is that going to be possibly helpful in that person moving forward and maybe working with you, but they just told you your next piece of content. Like they just gave you the problem from their own mouth that they think they're having, so you can create better content over time. So one of the biggest bonuses of conversations, yes, ideally we'd like a conversation to lead to a sale. In a perfect world, it would be like, hello, how's it going? Here's my credit card information. Let's go. But in the reality of it is not every conversation is going to turn into a sale. And if we can have more conversations, then you can get that direct feedback loop of having lots of people telling you what their problems are, so that you can, A, you now know them and they know you, and B, you can start to create content that's going to give them direct value. Okay. So that's just the one thing I wanted to say on conversations. I'd like to ask you, Michelle, what is the number one result that your ideal clients are looking for?
So I am going to be working with young women between 25 to 35 who are trying to reach and maintain their ideal body shape. And how I'm approaching it is, we're going to not focus on exhaustive exercise, following diet plans, or being glued to the scale. We're going to be learning more about intuitive eating and prioritizing strength training. So, very like a young female kind of dealing with those body image struggles and wants to just feel confident, empowered in her body.
So what are some of the ways that you guys, or that you do or will be like measuring success?
So I'm in the process of building the program, and I'm learning from different coaches what I like and what I don't like about the processes that they're using. For me, I'm always client-led. So what does the client actually determine as success for them? Yes, it could be the number on the scale. My job as a coach is to help them think more expansive and make them feel that their health is not at the fate of the number that they see.
Yeah.
So through the program, there's going to be like a lot of mindset training. So outcomes I would look for is, I have to find out how I want to measure this, but like improved relationship with food, like pant size change, like other tangibles,
Yes.
you know, improved relationships with others. Like there's just other things I'm going to focus on. I'm not too sure if that makes sense.
Nope, it makes total sense. And I'll give you the reason why I'm asking you these somewhat difficult questions. I'm sorry, this is not an exam.
It's okay.
So one of the things we've been able to do with Katie and with a couple of our other kins is, if you take like the tangible thing that you measure, let's say over a 12-week program, you're measuring, let's just for simplicity's sake, say it's body weight, because it's just it's a number, right? And if that's what you're measuring, and like your clients want to lose weight, well, instead of like what I would do is I would get my client to film a video and say how much they love me, or I would take a screenshot that they texted me like, oh my God, I'm down 10 pounds or whatever. You guys can't do that. But if that is something you measure, you could basically put a picture of a graph with, they started at 160 and 12 weeks later they were at 135 or 140 or whatever, right? And then that's not a testimonial. That's just results. That's the way we've gotten around it with Katie. So what she's starting to do is, one of the big things that she measures is like balance and a couple of other little things for like neurological issues. So she's going to put like their day one balance score, and then their 6-week balance score and their 12-week balance score. And she's going to show how much it improved, right? You don't have to put the client's name. There's no information about the client whatsoever, except for this number. So now we're starting to see but what you got to figure out is what's that thing that they want. I know what you're saying. It's client led. It can be different, but it could even be like this client's squatting way more weight, and you could even you could tell that story as like, and they've got a bunch more confidence now because of that, right? It's like a non-scale victory kind of thing. But once you figure out what you're measuring, can you take that and that can be like, you show like the graph of like, look where they started and look where they are now, that kind of thing. Make sense?
Yeah, I'm so curious in the online space as, a recipient of this information, how believable it is, because we're missing the context, the person's story. Like, how do we get to the audience on an emotional level where they're like, if this person did it, I can do it, because we're missing that personal component.
That's why I don't like this rule. Angela's like, yes, like Angela knows that I have a problem with this thing.
Yeah.
But if you can't tell someone else's story, the question that I have for you is, can you tell your own? Obviously we want our clients to be the heroes, but if you can't have them be the heroes, can you show, hey, I was client 0?
Angela, that might be something you can answer. Like, we have to maintain professional boundaries. So disclosing our story and our personal information, like, is that even allowed online?
Go for it. That's you. That's your story. You can tell it.
No one can tell
my branding.
Tell your own story, right?
No, that's not a problem at all. The other thing that I would mention, Michelle, I love this idea that Gavin had of showing the graphs, and you have so many metrics at your disposal. You could measure sleep quality. Oftentimes, as body weight changes, sleep quality improves. You could measure, a migration to meal prep. This is what my day used to look like, and here's my fridge. And then, now after 12 weeks with me, working with me, look at the meal prep I do twice a week. And so I know I'm going to be able to reach into the fridge and grab something that's completely energizing for me, and my body will find the weight where it's perfectly happy. So you can speak all around your ideal client and all the ways that your techniques influence their lifestyle. And you will give people ideas based on your own story. So here's the latest health hack that I've decided to explore. Here's the rabbit hole of the week. and people, and you can say, you know, here's my struggles, and you don't have to have them resolved. Most of us don't. It's an ongoing thing. And just tell your story saying, here's what I've just decided to measure or track, and here's what I'm reading around it. Here's what I'm listening to around it. And maybe you know someone who would like to learn some of the tips and tricks I have to offer. Here's a checklist for you. Join my webinar where I'm talking about some of these things. And it becomes easier and easier as you just figure out what are all the different ways that I can influence arriving at a healthy weight for me.
Michelle, she's a marketing genius. And maybe check out my webinar. One of the things you were talking about, like, it's interesting to think about it from the client's perspective. That's where, like, I think so many of us, they don't necessarily always have to be totally conscious of everything that we're doing, right? So there's a lot of things you can imply with your messaging. So one of the things that we often do is we don't necessarily say straight up that we do a lot of like mindset and belief work, but most of my content is about mindset and belief, right? I'm not saying that, but I'm implying it. And they kind of like maybe unconsciously know what they're getting into because of what I've implied with my content, right? So, you know, you don't always have to punch them in the face with it, right? Yes, sometimes we just want to share our offer. We want to be very clear. We want to ask, but you know, if you're smart about it and you're very, you know, you're good with words and messaging, you can imply a lot of things without actually saying them.
Well, yeah, people will see right through you too if you're just throwing them things their way, right?
Yep.
So yeah.
And sometimes they may not even recognize that either, but they'll be like, that doesn't feel like, if you're doing something kind of like
feels off.
It feels off, right? Then they won't even know why they swipe by, right? But they do, and that's bad news for you, right? So I would like, the one thing I would say, you know, if you want to use stories, people have been selling with stories for thousands of years, since they were hacking, you know, hitting it into the cave wall, they've been selling with stories, right? Everything, you know, every great sales kind of pitch starts with, let me tell you a story, right?
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, and I was taught that by one of the greatest storytellers I've ever known. And there's a whole bag of other issues alongside with him, but his name's John Romanello, and he's a great storyteller and an incredible writer. And he's like, every single person sells with stories, because people want to connect with something. So if you can't tell the story of a client legally, you do have your story. Or you can tell parts of the story in a different way and imply other parts of the story.
Yeah.
Really.
And the colleges, I've had so many calls at the college about this. They're like, oh, Angela, I'm like, just tell me again why, and is there another way that we could spin this? And, you know, we're hurting out here. You got to help us out. And they've mentioned that LinkedIn, because it's business to business, is a platform where you can talk about what you do. You're telling other business people that this is what you do. You're not on Facebook or Instagram trolling. You're actually talking about your business. So perhaps you have one perspective on Instagram and in a Facebook group, but you go on LinkedIn and you're saying, okay, this is how I'm doing what I'm doing. And you're sort of sharing your backstory a little bit. And you're saying, I'm trying to figure this out, and here's something new that I've got going on, and here are the kinds of people that I'm looking for. So you're educating people about who your ideal clients are, but at the same time, you're showing them your business journey, your evolution. I was here in corporate wellness, and now I've moved over here, and here's why I'm really connecting with these kinds of people, and I really would like to work with them, and here's how I'm starting to be able to do that. So you might be able to have a completely different message on a different platform.
And you're just acknowledging that this is how it goes.
Yeah. Yeah, it's tough because you want to go to where your clients are, right? And 25 to 35-year-olds, yes, they're probably on, especially if they're in corporate, they're definitely on LinkedIn. I feel the most comfortable with Instagram and Facebook. So it's tough. It's finding that happy median and being able to follow the regulations of the college. So I know I took up so much time. Thank you so much for answering my
don't worry about it.
I feel like
Open mic night.
Out of that, there's value in that.
Yeah.
Also, it's always better to ask for forgiveness. Just saying.
Because we've never done that before, ever.
Push up against the wall and see what happens. You don't have to, like clearly do a testimonial, but push up against the wall and see what happens.
Okay. Yeah. I'm going to take your advice. I appreciate that, Gavin. That was the clarity I needed.
Awesome.
Thanks.
Does anyone, I know Christiane asked, Emma asked, Jillian, did you have any specific questions that Katie hasn't told you about, or are you still there? If you're not still there, that's okay.
Yep,
Anything, any other thoughts or questions, or Angela?
I was going to ask you, what are, no specific questions from Jillian.
Cool.
Where are you going for some of your growth? So you've hit a place where you're kicking it, you're happy, everything's starting to fall into place. What are now the things that you're looking to grow your business, grow your own mindset? I'm always fascinated to look at people who are ahead and say, where are you now making your decisions?
I'm going right here. I'm just looking up. I'm not looking away from you guys. I have all like my goals and all this stuff right up here.
Oh,
so
awesome.
There's a good tip. Put it somewhere where you can see it all the time.
All the time. Bathroom mirror. Yeah.
Yeah.
Top of the computer monitor. Yeah.
Exactly. So what I'm really working on right now is I know that, so we have a team of, I have one person working full time with me. And then we have two kind of part-time coaches and support people in the business. And now I know that the biggest bottleneck in the business is me.
Yes, someone else says it.
I at least know that now. So what I'm working on is kind of stepping into the role of the CEO in my business, and stepping out of the role of, a lot of the day-to-day stuff. And I catch myself all the time doing stuff that, as I've learned, is not my job. And me trying to do that is just like micromanaging other people, and it's not good, not letting them do their job. But the biggest thing around that is in working on my own mindset, working on my own limiting beliefs, and working on my own fears. And I'd love, actually, you asked this question, our VIP group, Katie's a part of, we're doing a challenge right now called the Belief Busting Challenge. And I think it would be really valuable if you guys heard this. So I don't know if any of you guys have heard of Byron Katie or Abraham Hicks or Joe Dispenza. Okay, everyone's like, yes. All right. Absolute fire, by the way. I listen to that stuff every day now. But in terms of like fears and limiting beliefs, which is, again, like I said, something I'm working on. That's one of the first things that I realized when I started, when a coach started asking me about that stuff, like, is that real? And I was like, oh, I'm telling myself a story. So yes,
Mel Robbins. Absolutely. She's great.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, Mel Robbins.
Yes.
Every morning in the cold shower, when I don't want to get into the cold shower, I go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and I got to get in. That's Mel Robbins, straight up. So whenever you have like a belief that's not serving you, or a fear, or something that's just not, somewhere where you feel stuck, right? Asking yourself these 4 questions, which are right beside me. The first question being, is this true? So is this belief true? Now, sometimes it may be true. it may be that it's possible. There's evidence to back up that it may be true, right? The next question, though, is, do I know this to be true without a shadow of a doubt? Which is always a no. It's always going to squash any of those evidence things. Then what happens when you believe this thought or when you buy into this fear? You know, maybe it's around money. You play small, you know, you're afraid to reach out to people. You don't put yourself out there on social media, whatever it is. You don't ask for sales. But what happens when you buy into this? And the fourth question, and note the language here around actually identifying with this. So we say, what happens when you believe this? Who would you be if you didn't believe this, if you chose not to believe this, if you chose not to buy into this fear? You know, I would be the CEO. I would be, I would have freedom. I would be confident. I would be, you know, all these amazing things. But that allows you to kind of step into that. So is this true? Do I know it to be true without a shadow of a doubt? What happens when I believe this thought? And who would I be if I chose not to believe this thought? And then all you got to do is you can just write a little bonus. What's the truth? The truth is what? Mm-hmm. And that, like that kind of work, to answer your question, Angela, seemingly simple. There's so much of it to be done, to be pulled out of this brain. There's, you know, and one of the things I'll say to you guys too is there's new levels, new devils. So no matter where you're at, whether you're making 2K a month and barely scraping by, or you're making 20 plus K a month and working with a team and all that kind of stuff and trying to manage your expenses, there's always going to be struggles. You're never going to be, one of the things that my coach helped me with recently is, you know, you're never going to be able to take your success, put the plaque on the wall and put your feet up and be like, I'm done.
Oh, no.
Damn
I was
it.
hoping that was right around the corner, Gavin. It's been 30 years. Come on.
Yeah, this is the cross that we bear as business owners.
That's right.
Right. If we are people who don't want to sit around and talk about our pension for our whole career, this is what we bear as business owners. And it sounds like some of you have taken the jump and are starting to think about the jump of your own business. And that's so amazing. Exactly, Michelle. Like,
very much.
When you can get to that place where you are constantly seeing the impact that you're having, it's incredible. Like I appreciate it every single day. Now that we've kind of hit that critical mass where there are people we're constantly working with people, there were times where it was like, okay, there's no one left in the course. We got to go find new people. Here we go. You know, I've been there too. And when you can get to the place where you're always working with people and you're constantly getting these amazing texts and these amazing results coming in, that's when you're like, you know, all this struggle and all this work was worth it. But there's still more work. So really what I'm working on right now is stepping into my highest potential or my highest self.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. It's an ongoing thing. It's something that evolves over time, as Gavin mentioned. And with every new challenge, it's just another opportunity to say, wow, is that true? That's very interesting.
And Abraham Hicks will always say, like, it's the contrast that provides the clarity. So when things aren't going well, when things aren't going that you want them to, you can get clarity from that, right? Like there is a lesson, there is gratitude to come out of that. And that was like, oh, that was like such a big moment for me, is that there is clarity in that.
I love that comment, because what I find is you hit a challenge, you figure it out, and then a plane needs resistance to take flight. And when you figure out that challenge, when you actually take off, it's not just going to be the only flight you take. There's going to be something else, and it's going to be a bigger jet, and there's going to be more people on that jet, to continue with that metaphor, right? And so all of a sudden you've got passengers with you, and the stakes become a lot higher, and people are looking to you, and you think, oh my gosh, I have to figure this out. You only have to figure out the next step, and then that's done. And then it's the next step. And you just break those steps down as minuscule as you can. I did it this morning.
See, the work is
Yeah.
always happening.
It's just always like this. These are all the things, because I thought if I don't dump it tonight before I go to bed, I'm not going to be able to get through the day. And yet there's so many things I had to do first in order for to have the other conversations later in the day. And you're like, all right, I got to pick up the phone. I got to send this email because, there's an expectation later in the day. And the thing I was going to say is that once you figure it out and the next problem comes along, you may not realize that that problem zips by you because you already have figured out how you're going to handle it or delegate it. So now you don't have to devote the same brain power to the new problem. It's like, seen that before, that goes to the left. Seen that one before, I know who that's going to be handling, right? And then all of a sudden, it's just flip, 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 flip. And then all of a sudden you get the big call and you think, this one's for me. And then that's where that's where you step up and you go, okay, this is my superpower and this is where I'm happy. And you get better and better at not taking it all on and saying left, right. Okay, this is the criteria for something that's a problem in my sweet spot that is going to help me grow. So let's have it, guys. This is what I want to do.
And you can only find that through doing all the million things in your business. Right? When I suck at that, I don't like that. That's terrible.
Yeah.
This is my thing. This is my jam, right? Contrast is clarity. I'm really happy you took it there, Angela, because I think I can teach you guys all the things you want about strategies and tactics. But at the end of the day, if there's limiting beliefs holding you back, or your subconscious brain is going the other way of where you want to go, none of it matters. You're building a house on a foundation of sand. If you're working on your marketing, but your limiting beliefs are holding you here,
Yeah. I read a great book, listened to a great book on repeat. It was so good. The War of Art, Stephen Pressfield, right? The classic. And I had not read it. Every single person on the planet is like, this book. It talks about, have you got it there? There you go. I listened to that audiobook twice through, and it's going to be on repeat. It was a short listen. And it just talks about all the different forms of resistance that you can have, and where does that resistance come from? And resistance is fear. And how do you reframe that resistance to say, I see you and I now know how to manage you, and you're not so scary anymore. So just settle down. And so I found that very, very interesting. And everyone has their own forms of resistance, whether it's being given permission to make money, whether it's being permission to actually show up as yourself, all these kinds of things. And so you never have to do it the same way twice. And you'll have chance after chance after chance as more of your clients come in the door to refine your craft, whatever that happens to be.
Yes, a great way to put it. Great way to put it. Cool. Is there anything else? Any other questions? Actually, Angela or anybody?
I probably will ask you, what's the best way that people can reach out to you and follow you and learn about more of what you do, and consider working with you with a client challenge that they have? Yeah.
So Instagram for sure, at Gavin McHale 1. Shout out. I'm so happy everyone's Canadian on here. I talk to a lot of American groups. Maverick Coaching Academy.ca. If you want to learn more about what we do, just in website form, but Instagram is where you can find everything. And I wanted to say as well, so you guys that are here, and even those of you that are watching this in the recording, if you guys send me a message and let me know you saw this, I think I offered this last time too. I'd be happy to do, we call it like an Instagram audit, but just take a peek at your current Instagram. Little 5-minute video on a few pieces that we might change, or just feedback for you on what looks good, what you can double down on, and what maybe you can make some changes on. So if you guys message me that, I'll do an Instagram audit for you guys as well, or even a content audit. I'm just best at Instagram, but
cool. That's great.
Yeah, thanks so much for this, Angela. And thanks for bringing questions, guys. Too many people just come and, I get groups that just come and they're like, okay, talk at me now. It's like, no, like, let's chat it out.
I don't do that very well. You know that about me so far anyway. Thank you, everybody. I really appreciate you spending your Monday evening with us. And Gavin, thanks again. And this won't be the last time that we have you on for another great chat. So thanks for making the time again. We appreciate that.
Yes, thank you. And like I said, thanks all of you for showing up and bringing the heat.
Yeah,
Awesome.
of course. Take care, everybody, and we'll see you next week.
Awesome.
See you guys.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good night.
Thanks.